He was the most tragic killer in history. His consciousness was preserved, turned into an exhibit in a private museum. Every day, visitors would pull the execution lever, forcing him to relive the pain of electrocution over and over, even when they heard his desperate pleas for mercy. Not a single tourist showed compassion. Everyone believed he deserved it, but what no one knew was that the man was actually innocent. Years ago, he was wrongfully imprisoned. All his appeals were denied, and he was sentenced to death. Right before the execution, a scientist approached him with an offer. Sell your consciousness after death for research, and your family will receive a large compensation. Believing he wouldn't feel anything after death, and wanting to leave something behind for his loved ones, the man agreed and signed the contract, but he had no idea. The real nightmare was just beginning. On the day of his execution, an extractor was attached to his temple. Moments after the electric shock, he died, and his consciousness was completely uploaded by the scientist. But it wasn't for research. The scientist imprisoned his mind in a museum, all for profit. Worse still, he designed a special attraction. Visitors could perform the electrocution themselves. Though it was only a virtual consciousness, the simulated pain from the electric shocks felt terrifyingly real. As long as each shock stayed under 10 seconds, the man's consciousness would remain intact. The moment this attraction launched, it became the museum's biggest draw. Crowds flocked in, eager to experience the thrill of being an executioner. After every shock, they even received a souvenir keychain containing a fragment of the man's pain. The torturous cycle continued day after day. While the scientist made a fortune, but even that wasn't enough. He brought in sadistic thrill seekers who paid top dollar to extend the electrocution sessions. Years passed. The once-aware mind had been tortured into madness. One day, the man's wife came to the museum. What she saw shattered her heart, but because of the contract he had signed, and the lack of laws protecting consciousness, she had no choice but to walk away in silence. Until one day, during the museum's off-season, a young female tourist arrived. The scientist happily gave her a private tour, never suspecting the disaster about to unfold. Because she was the condemned man's daughter, she pretended to be curious, and when the scientist's throat went dry from talking, she kindly offered him a bottle of poison water. Just as they arrived at her father's exhibit, the poison kicked in, and only then did the scientist realize who she truly was. But it was too late. Now it was time for vengeance. She attached an extractor to the scientist's temple and calmly waited for him to die. Then she inserted his mind directly into her father's consciousness space. So now, the scientist would personally feel every jolt of the electric chair. After saying one last goodbye to her father, she grabbed the switch and pulled it down with full force. A surge of electricity shot through both minds. The scientist's screams were agonizing. After 20 seconds, her father's tortured consciousness was finally freed. Her lifelong wish was fulfilled, and she even received a special souvenir, a keychain holding the scientist's screaming mind. She walked out of the museum, hung the keychain from her rearview mirror, and smiled with satisfaction, watching the distorted face of the man who once caused her family so much pain.